So, this video will be a bit different than my others. Instead of putting forward an argument or a tier list or a song, I'm going to show you how I make these videos. A lot of effort goes into each of them, so I wanted to take this opportunity to show you some of it, and also hope it helps inspire any of you video makers out there in your own creative pursuits. Now, to give you a complete behind-the-scenes look at a new video, I'll need to show you what was going on before I started the channel. It was winter break 2021, about 2 months before my first video released. I decided I wanted to try to make a YouTube channel, and I knew I wanted it to focus on the Wings of Fire series. At the time, I'd only read arcs 1 and 2, and it had been a while since I'd read any of them, so over that break, in preparation for making videos, I read the entire series. I went through like almost a book a day because I didn't have much else to do, and as I read, I took notes. I wrote down page numbers for when significant things happened, I tracked character arcs, I marked important quotes, and I wrote down any and all video ideas that came to me as I read the books. Once I've picked a new idea out, the first thing I do is look back at those notes, and then I start scripting. This is the first major part of any video I make, and it is arguably one of the most important. I spend time on my scripts, usually at least a couple of days, writing, revising, researching, and putting together the ideas I want to convey in a manner that makes sense. I usually start by outlining the major points I want to hit, fill in the points with some basic ideas, then go through and actually write out everything I want to say. In this stage, I'll see what other people have said on the topic too, what's already been done, what do I agree with, and what do I think new perspectives might help. I will also ask for feedback from friends and family and online people. I want to give a huge shout out to Turkey Talon and Fritzafella. I ask them Wings of Fire questions constantly. They are walking Wings of Fire encyclopedias, I swear, and it is a miracle they still respond to me. Once everything is written, I'll read it back out loud to make sure it flows how I want it to, and probably change phrasing in a couple spots to make it sound better. After it's all said and done, or written and said and revised and done, my scripting process usually takes somewhere between 2 to 8 hours, depending on the length of the video and the depth of the analysis. Then I can get into recording the audio. I record all my lines in my voice acting booth. Okay, maybe that's a bit generous of a way to describe the microphone setup in my closet surrounded by pillows and blankets to keep out other sounds, but it's my voice acting booth! Usually I go through and record chunk by chunk, retrying lines or paragraphs until I get a take I'm happy with. For example, this one is my second attempt, but if it's something really important, I'll do multiple takes to make sure I have one that works well. But the actual recording doesn't often take more than an hour or so, even for the long videos. After I have the lines recorded, I get into editing them. I put the recorded chunks together, take out any pauses or breaths or odd noises, and adjust the volume to make it all sound more professional. Here is an example of what my unedited audio sounds like. The volume to make it all sound more professional. Here is an example of what my unedited audio sounds like. This part also usually takes me about an hour to do. Now that the lines are done, it's almost time to start video editing, but before I start video editing, I need to acquire images to edit with. And this is what I like to call the artwork acquisition phase. The length of this phase has gone down over time as I've accrued more art, more permissions from various artists, but usually there will be things I talk about for which I do not already have artwork on hand, so I have to go and find some. I also have this big spreadsheet where I keep track of all the people I've reached out to, who I have permissions from, and what exact permissions I have, which makes it easier to go back through afterwards and see. All told, this stage takes on average probably about 2 hours per video of just searching and messaging people. But then it's time for the video editing to begin, and this is by far the part that consumes the most time. In general, I would say for every minute the video runs, I spend probably about 2 hours on video editing. So this part will take me anywhere from 4 to like 20 hours to do. Some videos, like the tier lists, go faster, but most are pretty time intensive. And this is the part that requires the most creativity too, as I usually try to make whatever visuals are on screen relevant to what the script is saying, and sometimes it's just hard to visualize the abstract ideas I like to talk about. A lot of it is just trial and error, having an idea for a way to visualize the sentence, trying it, seeing if it works, and going back to the drawing board if it doesn't. I also always try to have something moving on screen every couple of seconds, good for keeping attention, but keyframing movement also usually adds a lot of time to a project. There's also a surprising amount of photoshopping that goes into these videos. Anytime I'm using a symbol or a shape or a graphic that isn't artwork, I probably had to do some photoshopping to make it look the way I wanted to. Well, I guess it's not photoshopping in my case, but like FireAlpaca-ing, because that's the program I use, but same idea. And after all that, the video is rendered. But wait! It doesn't matter how well put together a video is unless people actually click on it in the first place, so it's time to make a thumbnail. If you watch my videos before, you know my thumbnail style. I like having a character's face, usually with some kind of emotion on it, alongside big red and white or yellow and black text that give a good idea of what the video will be about without giving it away entirely. It sounds simple, but much like the video editing, it involves a lot of trial and error. Depending on the video, I'll put together 2 or 3 different thumbnail ideas and then 2 or 3 different variations of each idea, adjusting small things little by little so I can see which I like and what version works best. I also work in FireAlpaca at this stage because I'm familiar with image editing in it. Generally, this part also takes me about an hour or so to come up with something I'm satisfied with. And finally, I upload it all to YouTube, add the credits to the description, and check all the boxes to make sure it's properly set up in YouTube's system. This part also takes about an hour, with most of that time spent filling in artist credits and links and double checking to make sure I didn't miss anything along the way. So putting that all together, it usually takes me somewhere around 10 to 30 hours to make a new video. So if I ever miss a weekly upload, it's probably because I didn't quite have time to work an extra part-time job in addition to my PhD course load. In any case, I really do hope you enjoy watching these videos. The only reason I continue to put this much time and effort into them is because I genuinely enjoy it. And honestly, the best part about the entire process is after it's all finished and I get to sit back and see all of your reactions. So that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and here is to many, many more.